Hi, Robert Chokro here. I'm going to show you an exercise that I first learned from Elaine Summers, which she called fat skinny breathing. And then after that, I also learned the same exercise from Moshe Feldenkrais in a weekend workshop I took with him. I think that was around 1974. And just keep in mind that breathing exercises are just exercises. They're not telling you how you're supposed to breathe. Therefore, freeing up the breathing apparatus, strengthening it, and maybe reminding it of possibilities that it may not have thought of. I like to do this exercise lying on my back on a mat on the floor with a pillow under my head. But it can be done sitting, and I'm going to do it now sitting because it's easier for me to explain that way. Start by putting the palms of your hands on the lower ribs. And the hands are there just as sensors. They're not putting any pressure on your ribs. And take a deep breath in. Expand everything. The ribs, the lower abdomen, front, back, sides, everything. And then breathe out. As you breathe out, you're keeping your lower abdomen totally expanded, just breathing with the ribs. And breathe as fully as you can, just with the ribs, keeping the lower abdomen expanded. See how much you can breathe into the rib area that way, and how much you can exhale. After a few breaths, rest, breathe naturally, and then when your body is ready, do the next phase. There are 4 phases in all. The second phase is breathe in totally. Exhale, let the lower abdomen drop down, inward, and then again, breathe only with the ribs. This is probably the way most people breathe. I don't see them using their lower abdomens very much. Breathe in as fully as you can. The lower abdomen is quiescent and inward. Find out how much more you can breathe in when you take a good breath. All the areas, the top, this area here, etc. And exhale as completely as possible. The lower abdomen is quiescent. Rest and just breathe naturally. You can do as many breaths as you want for each phase. I'm shortening it so that the video won't be too long. Next, take a good breath in. Exhale and keep the ribs expanded. Make sure the ribs are fully expanded, not only front but back too, in the back too. And then breathe only with your lower abdomen. Actually, this is the way I used to breathe when my back was all hunched over. The only way I could get any air in was to have my ribs expanded forward. And they were frozen that way until I got them to move. So you're keeping the ribs fully expanded and only breathing with the lower abdomen, front, back, sides, as fully as possible, both the inhalations and the exhalations. And then rest when your body feels like doing so, and as long as it does. And then when your body is ready, again, take a good breath in. And now, when you exhale, drop the rib cage. You can drop everything inward, but drop the rib cage fully inward. And now breathe only with your lower abdomen. Remember to keep the rib cage inward and breathe as fully as you can. The in-breath will be front, back, and sides. And the out-breath, let everything descend inward. And then rest. And that is the exercise. But what I like to do after that is what I don't call it that, I read it in a book, what's called the Yogic Complete Breath, which is along the same lines but much more natural. So take a deep breath in with the lower abdomen, and then expand the ribs, breathe in more fully. Now you're completely breathed in, and now breathe out just with the lower abdomen, and then let the ribs descend as you continue to breathe out. That's one cycle. So again, breathe in to the lower abdomen first, fully, and then have the change over to the ribs be continuous. Breathe into the ribs, and then breathe out with the lower abdomen, keeping the ribs expanded, and let the ribs drop in as you continue to breathe out. This way of breathing is, you can remember it. There are two things to remember, and that is that you start the in-breath with the lower abdomen, and you start the out-breath with the lower abdomen. And the other thing to remember is to try to make the transition from lower abdomen to ribs and from ribs to lower abdomen be as continuous and smooth as possible and as natural as possible. But you want to make it as full as possible. When I watch people breathe, they are not breathing fully, which means they're not getting as much oxygen as they may need. And it also means that they are breathing much more frequently, shallowly and frequently. Keep in mind that the breathing is activated mostly by the carbon dioxide and the need to expel it, not by the need for oxygen. So you can be breathing more shallowly and your body may not be getting enough oxygen. The more you practice deeper breathing, the more you'll find yourself doing it without even having any thought of doing so. Your body will just do it. And that's the way you want it to be. You want it to be natural, based on the conditions, not the same every time, not just what you learned in an exercise class, but based on the conditions. Thank you.